So hello guys. So we will start with trigeminal nerve. Okay, so this is going to be a very important part for your practical. So in osteology, this trigeminal nerve can be a discussion and it can be a short note for you. Okay, so I have discussed only from that aspect. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can post in the comments. I'll reply. This is going to be a very simple topic and very easy to understand also. Okay, so if you remember me teaching facial nerve, there I would have told you how you are supposed to present a cranial nerve or how you are supposed to write a cranial nerve, right? So if you take, these are the headings, so you will give us general introduction, then you will mention about its functional components and the nuclei, then cause and its relation, and finally you will come with your clinical anatomy. Now we'll start with the introduction. So if you remember me telling in facial nerves, what are the points that include introduction? You will say which nerve it is, what type of nerve it is. Okay, so here it is the largest cranial nerve. It is the fifth cranial nerve and this is the largest cranial nerve. That is the first point. Next, it is a mixed nerve. You remember me giving a list, right? If you remember, I gave you 1 to 8 is the sensory. Okay, so I've given you a list. You can refer to that list. This is a mixed nerve again. One peculiar point which can be asked in an MCQ is, just listen to the question, which is the only cranial nerve whose sensory ganglia lies within the cranial cavity? The answer is trigeminal nerve. So the only nerve whose sensory ganglia lies within the cranial cavity is trigeminal nerve. The largest and the ganglia lies within the cranial cavity. Next, we will move on to functional components. If you remember me taking what I have told you, what is a special visceral efferent, what is a special visceral afferent, I have told you everything. So if you remember special visceral efferents, it is going to supply the muscles of pharyngeal arch. Okay, muscles that has been derived from your pharyngeal arches, right? So now, here if you take the special visceral efferents, is going to arise from the motor nucleus of your trigeminal nerve, and it is going to supply the muscles of the first pharyngeal arch. So now the next question comes, what are the muscles of the first pharyngeal arch? This is again a very important MCQ. So just remember this acronym, AMMTT, AMMT. Anterior belly of digastric muscle. This is the first thing. A for anterior belly of digastric muscle. Next, M for muscles of mastication. Another M for mylohyoid muscle. Another M for tensor palati. Another M for tensor tympani. Anterior belly of digastric, muscles of mastication, mylohyoid muscle, tensor palati, and then tensor tympani. Okay, what is the potential MCQ is, which of the following muscles is not belonging to first pharyngeal arch? Okay, so it is, always remember, only the anterior belly will be belonging to first pharyngeal arch, not the posterior belly. Okay, this people generally confuse. So just remember anterior belly, first pharyngeal arch, but not your posterior belly. Okay, now we will move on to GSA, that is your general somatic afferent. So if you remember general somatic afferent, I have told you it is going to carry only the general sensations. If you remember pain, touch and all that. Okay, here if you take, you can understand this general somatic afferents are two things. One is your extraceptive and then proprioceptive. What is this extraceptive is? All the sensations carried from the exterior aspect, meaning your pain, touch, temperature from the exterior aspect of the skin, all these are extraceptive. Okay, so the general somatic afferent extraceptive fibers of trigeminal nerve, they terminate in the sensory and the spinal nucleus, whereas your general somatic afferent proprioceptive fibers, they terminate in the mesencephalic nucleus. All these are again potential MCQs. This is a very important slide for MCQ. Now we'll move on to cause and relation. Very simple cause. It's the simplest cause we can ever have for any cranial nerve. Okay, so we'll just start by understanding this picture. So if you remember facial nerve, the first point that we told was it arises as two roots from the pons, right? Same thing here, but only thing is, in facial nerve we saw it was the large motor root and small sensory root, if you remember. Here it is going to be ulta, a small motor root and a large sensory root. So the first point that you will write is trigeminal nerve arises as a small medial motor root. I'll repeat, small medial motor root and large lateral sensory root. From where? From the ventrolateral aspect of the pons. So this is your ventral side of the pons, and this is lateral aspect of your pons. So arises from the ventrolateral aspect of the pons. So first point you will include in the flow chart, it arises as small medial motor root and large lateral sensory root from the ventrolateral aspect of the pons. Now, after its origin, it moves forwards and laterally. So this is your midline. Okay, so all these are going to be lateral course. So it moves forwards and laterally. Okay, then what happens? Very important point. As a surgeon, it is very, very important. Just listen to this aspect. On the anterior aspect of your petrous part of temporal bone. So if you take, this is your petrous part of temporal bone. So here you are able to appreciate the trigeminal ganglion. I put this picture to just correlate you with the cranial cavity. Okay, so just come to this picture again. So this is your petrous part of temporal bone. This is your apex. Okay, so this is going to be your anterior aspect of your petrous part of temporal bone. So at the anterior aspect of the petrous part of temporal bone, the trigeminal ganglion is formed. If you take here, it is formed, right? But where it is going to be located is in a shallow fossa in the anterior aspect of the petrous part of the temporal bone. So after its origin, it is going to go forwards and laterally, and it is going to arch downwards. It is related to the anterior aspect of the petrous part of temporal bone, where there is formation of trigeminal ganglion. At the same time, it is lodged in a shallow fossa. So if you are able to appreciate, this motor nerve has slightly bent here. You're able to see here. Okay, just a minute. Just trace this alone, no? If you are able to appreciate here, you are able to see a bend like this. So here you will be having a shallow fossa. Okay, so this is where your trigeminal ganglion is actually going to go and rest. Okay, so it rests there. That is, and there it is going to create a cave. I'll show you in the next picture what happens there. Okay, so just understand trigeminal ganglia and the anterior part of your petrous temporal bone, it is going to rest on a shallow fossa. Once it rests on a shallow fossa, it leads to the subarachnoid expansion. Okay, so all these are your dura mater. Okay, so we will be learning in cranial cavity. So what is arachnoid, subarachnoid, space, and all that. Okay, so just understand. In that shallow fossa, it creates a subarachnoid expansion, thereby creating a cave called as trigeminal cave. Again, I'll repeat. So in this picture, we will see this is a shallow fossa where trigeminal ganglion is going to rest. Okay, and then it is going to have a subarachnoid expansion. So whatever dura mater, if you remember the three layers, you will have your pia mater, dura mater, arachnoid mater. Okay, it's not in order. I have just told in random. So if you take the arachnoid, so below the arachnoid, you have a subarachnoid. Okay, so this ganglion is just going to go into the subarachnoid space. It is going to have an expansion there. So if you take here, it's just subarachnoid expansion, and it leads to a caving. Okay, so that is called as your trigeminal cave. Why am I stressing so much on this is, patient comes with trigeminal neuralgia. It's a clinical condition related with trigeminal nerve, which we'll be discussing at the last. Okay, so where the patient will complain of severe pain. Okay, so at that point of time, the surgeon will identify this trigeminal cave and block the sensory root, because ganglion is where all the sensory roots are going to come and relay. So from there only its divisions are going to go, which we'll be seeing now. Okay, so if he is just going to block the trigeminal cave, that is why we have stressed so much. So if someone asks you what is a trigeminal cave means, you will tell the subarachnoid expansion caused by the trigeminal ganglion, where in the anterior aspect of your petrous part of temporal bone is called as a trigeminal cave. Okay, now we'll move on to the branches. So if you take, you will have three things. Okay, now the next point is why the name has been given as trigeminal. Tri means what? Three. So which means you have three important structures here. If you understand, I have told you already, your motor root is going to be very small. But if you take sensory root, is so large, right? So the sensory root itself, it is going to have three different components. If you see here, you have an ophthalmic, you have a maxillary, you have a mandibular. Since we have three important large sensory components, this is called as a trigeminal nerve. Okay. So the first division that we are going to see is going to be your ophthalmic division. So if you take this ophthalmic division, so word itself says it is going to go to your eye. So where is the, from skull, if you want to correlate, you will say orbit. Okay. So the ophthalmic division is going to enter into the orbit. Okay. Now the thing is, before entering into directly into the orbit, at the superior orbital fissure, it's an important, again in cranial cavity we'll be discussing. So in superior orbital fissure, the ophthalmic division divides into three branches. This would have been already dealt in optic nerve if you remember. You have your lacrimal branch, you have your frontal branch, you have your nasociliary branch. If you remember, taken by Dr. Bharat Raj. So if you take, this is your frontal branch. Okay, this is your frontal branch. This will be your lacrimal branch, and this will be your nasociliary branch. Okay, so ophthalmic division at the level of superior orbital fissure divides into three. Okay, so this is your frontal, lacrimal, and then this is your nasociliary. Okay, now next is your maxillary nerve. That is your maxillary division, and this is your mandibular division. So your maxillary division, if you take, it is going to lie on the lateral wall of cavernous sinus. Okay, for people who do not know what is cavernous sinus, we'll be having a session on cavernous sinus, like how we saw a maxillary sinus and all these paranasal sinuses. In cranial cavity also, we have some important sinuses that has to be discussed. Okay, venous sinuses. One such important is the cavernous sinus. Okay, so this nerve, your maxillary nerve and all your mandibular nerve, it is related to the lateral wall of your cavernous sinus. Related to your lateral wall of the cavernous sinus. All these related to the lateral wall of cavernous sinus. Okay, so it is related to the lateral wall of cavernous sinus, and it enters into your foramen rotundum. It enters into your foramen rotundum. Okay, now if you take mandibular nerve, it is directly going to enter into your foramen ovale. Okay, so your ophthalmic, maxillary is related to the lateral wall of, so all these related to the lateral wall of cavernous sinus. Okay, but here it is going to be related to the lateral wall of cavernous sinus, and it is going to enter into foramen rotundum. Okay, but your mandibular division is directly going to enter into your foramen ovale. Okay, now we will see about the individual division. Just understand your trigeminal ganglion. From there you have three divisions: ophthalmic division, maxillary division, and then mandibular division. Maxillary division enters into a foramen rotundum. Mandibular division enters into foramen ovale. All these are related to the lateral wall of cavernous sinus. This is the carryover point. Now, if you take, we saw three divisions, right? So this is your ophthalmic division, which comes out to your superior orbital fissure. So here you'll be having a superior orbital fissure, and this is your maxillary division, and this is your mandibular division. So if you take ophthalmic divisions, it is going to supply till here, right? So what are the structures? If you take, it is going to supply your orbit, supplies your nasal cavity, okay, and then it supplies your dura mater and all that. Okay, so mainland is going to supply your regions of your orbit and nasal cavity. Okay, next if you take maxillary nerve, so it is going to supply your upper lip, nasal cavity, your pharynx, all that. Okay, and then your mandibular nerve supplies your mandibular part. Okay, you can just refer to the supply. Okay, I'm just giving you an idea. So your ophthalmic division supplies your upper part of the face. Your maxillary division supplies your middle part of the face. Your mandibular division supplies your lower part of the face. Okay, if you are going to write this much also, it is fine. Okay, so what are the structures within the upper part of the face? So eye, your scalp, all these are by your ophthalmic division, you can write. Okay, so we have maxillary division, so your nasal cavity, your pharynx and all that, and lower part. Okay, so you just correlate and you can write. Okay, so mainly your mandibular nerve supplies your muscles of mastication. We'll see how. Okay, so I will just touch upon the branches of maxillary division and then your mandibular division. So this is your trigeminal ganglion. Okay, and then this is going to come via your foramen rotundum related to the lateral wall of cavernous sinus, and we are going to see what is going to happen. So if you take maxillary nerve, we are going to have branches studied at 3 levels. So if you take, there are 3 rounds, right? So one in the middle cranial fossa, one in the pterygopalatine fossa, another one is going to be in your orbit. Okay. So orbit, then pterygopalatine fossa, and then middle cranial fossa. So in middle cranial fossa, you are going to have only one branch that is going to arise, that is your meningeal branch. So always remember, meningeal is related to your cranial cavity. Okay, so in the middle cranial fossa, you are going to have only one branch, that is your meningeal branch. Okay, now, so all these are going to be in your this thing. What is that? Pterygopalatine fossa. So in pterygopalatine fossa, you are going to have zygomatic nerve. Okay, you are going to have zygomatic nerve, and then you are going to have posterior superior alveolar nerve, and then ganglionic branches. So 3 branches from your pterygopalatine fossa region. So ganglionic branches, posterior superior alveolar nerve, and then zygomatic nerve. And in your orbit, you are going to have your anterior superior alveolar nerve, middle superior alveolar nerve. This would have been covered in paranasal sinus. If you remember, your anterior superior alveolar nerve is going to be related anteriorly to your maxillary sinus. Whereas if you take your middle superior alveolar nerve, it is going to be related to your lateral aspect of your maxillary sinus. If you remember these relations, very, very important. Okay. So again, I'll repeat: middle cranial fossa, meningeal branch. From your pterygopalatine fossa, you have a ganglionic branches supplying pterygopalatine ganglion, posterior superior alveolar nerve, zygomatic nerve. And from your in your orbit, you have your anterior superior alveolar nerve and then middle superior alveolar nerve. Next is your mandibular nerve. Okay, so if you take mandibular nerve, if you observe this picture, your motor root is going to join with your mandibular nerve along the foramen ovale. Okay, so just understand, your sensory division of your mandibular nerve and then your motor division, both will fuse after emerging from your foramen ovale, forming your mandibular trunk. Okay, so it will just form your trunk. Okay, so the mandibular nerve is composed of sensory as well as a motor root. Okay, so motor is because of this, and your sensory is your mandibular division. So both these enters into foramen ovale, forms a main trunk. And after trunk, this motor root, so if you take this motor root, it is coming like this, right? So this is going to form your anterior division, and your sensory root is going to form posterior division. So after the formation of trunk, your mandibular nerve divides into 2. Your anterior division and the posterior division. Anterior division is mainly muscular, your posterior division is mainly sensory. Okay, so if you take, this is your main trunk. Okay, so from your trunk, you have 2 branches rising: nerve spinosus, nerve to medial pterygoid. If you remember me talking about middle meningeal artery, nervus spinosus, I would have told you, through the foramen spinosum, along with your nervus spinosus, it enters. If you just want me to recollect, middle meningeal, so if you take this is middle meningeal artery, if you remember, middle meningeal artery, it pierces between the 2 roots of the auriculotemporal nerve. If you observe this very good picture, this is your 2 roots of auriculotemporal nerve. So middle meningeal artery arises from the first part of meningeal artery. It pierces between 2 roots of auriculotemporal nerve, and it is going to enter into your foramen spinosum along with nervus spinosus. This was a course that I would have told you there. Okay, so the same thing. So this is your nervus spinosus and then nerve to medial pterygoid. So from the main trunk, you have 2 nerves, that is your nervus spinosus, nerve to medial pterygoid. So these are the 2 branches arising from the main trunk of your mandibular nerve. And if you take your anterior division, so these are all your anterior division branches. So I told you your anterior division is going to be mainly motor. Okay, so you have your masseteric nerve, deep temporal nerve, your buccal nerve, and then nerve to lateral pterygoid. Same that of your artery, if you remember this thing, second part of your meningeal artery. If you remember, we would have seen the same thing. Okay, so masseteric artery, deep temporal artery, buccal artery, you would have seen all these. Okay, so same thing here. Corresponding nerve. So you have your masseteric nerve, deep temporal nerve, buccal nerve, nerve to lateral pterygoid. So these are the 4 branches arising from your anterior divisions. I'll write it as AD. Okay, anterior division. Next, posterior division, if you take it, is mainly going to be sensory. So you have your auriculotemporal nerve, okay, and then you have your lingual nerve, and then inferior alveolar nerve. So these three are your what? Posterior division branches. Okay, so you just can study about these nerve in detail later, which is very important is your branches. Okay, because this is all a potential MCQ question. It has not been asked in university so far, very rare. Okay, but these are all very important. Which of the following branches from your anterior? So the following is from your posterior. Very important thing is between your nerve to medial pterygoid and nerve to lateral pterygoid. Very, very important MCQ. I have seen this in one PG module also. Okay, so if you take nerve to medial pterygoid, it arises from the main trunk of mandibular nerve, whereas your nerve to lateral pterygoid arises from your anterior division of the mandibular nerve. Very, 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 very important. Okay, just make a note of this alone. Okay. Now the last side, that is your trigeminal neuralgia. So we have discussed. If you remember that trigeminal cave, I told you surgeon is very important. He does this all that, right? So what is this trigeminal neuralgia is? Paroxysmal episode. What is the meaning of paroxysmal? Means recurrence. Okay, continuously recurring. Okay, very frequently recurring is your paroxysmal. So paroxysmal episodes of severe pain. So always remember, when you explain a pain, you should say whether it is going to be a sudden onset or it is going to be for a longer duration. Okay, so pain if you just imagine stomach pain, initially light இருக்கும், then gradually it expands. Okay, that is all rapidly growing pain. Okay, suddenly you would have got some massive pain, that is sudden onset. So this trigeminal neuralgia is going to be a paroxysmal episode where patient will complain of severe pain of sudden onset. Suddenly you will experience variable pain, and it is of short duration. This is trigeminal neuralgia. So paroxysmal episodes of severe pain of sudden onset and short duration is trigeminal neuralgia. What surgeon will do in case of trigeminal neuralgia? Surgeon identifies the trigeminal cave that is due to suborganar expansion by the trigeminal ganglion at the anterior aspect of your petrous part of the temporal bone. Okay, so that's it. This is about your trigeminal neuralgia. So in the next video, we'll be discussing about few more topics of your cranial part. Thank you.